And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success. I'm your host, Wes Tankersley. Back with Robert Watson. We are going through Ars Victorious. We are in number 20, which is Worldview. And it was funny because we were hopping on. I was like, we started talking a little bit and we're like, I go, let's get this thing fired up so that we don't waste a good conversation on just us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just, matter of fact, I was just researching worldview because, it's kind of how we construct everything, right? Our top down look at the world. And I mean, you don't mean to necessarily bring religion in, but you've got to start with, do you believe there's a God? In other words, how the universe is organized. But your worldview is how you believe everything's organized. In other words, things like little stupid things like, do you believe things happen to you or for you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is the universe trying to educate you or punish you? Right? Are you Old Testament or New Testament? All those things matter a ton when you're trying to shape your success from your world.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's amazing. I know that you listen to the Monday episode, or I'm guessing that you listen to the Monday episode because I see like where the stats are, and there's only one guy I know that lives where you live, so I can see it.
Yep, it's me.
I figured. But it's all that stuff that I was talking about on Monday. I'm like, man, there's just so much stuff behind, just knowing that you have to have some sort of view. You have to have something to believe in. And it doesn't matter if, like you said, I know you brought up Old Testament, New Testament. It doesn't matter. There has to be some way for that. I feel like you have to have faith in something. I mean, even if it's just in yourself,
Einstein's comment was the best. God doesn't roll dice with the cosmos.
Right.
Okay. Because one of the things that physicists and mathematicians had to believe was there was an organizing principle.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, there was an original thought, an original idea, original being, original creator, organizer. You don't have to get caught in religion, but you can say, listen, I think the universe is organized. Oh, okay. Or you think it's just chaotic. You could just as likely walk out your front door and get hit by a meteorite as get hit by the morning paper.
Yep.
I mean, come on, really? But again, how you decide to do it is whether or not the glass for you is half full or half empty.
Yeah, which is the basis of this show.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that was it. That was it for me. It was like making that switch is what, changes the way that you think. Those having that idea that even when you fail, there is a chance that you can succeed. You just have to try again. He who has never failed is he who has never tried, is what we kind of talked about on Monday. It's like that. It's just a weird thing. It's like you can choose to know that failure is part of succeeding, or you can choose to sit there and think that you fail every single time you do something. And what gets you in a better spot?
Right. There's this phrase that's been stuck in my head for a couple of days, and it's from Clausewitz on war. Okay. And I know that it seems odd to be, but war is kind of a competition, but it's a great phrase. It says, beware the vividness of transient impressions. Okay. And when you think about that for a second, right, what it's basically saying to you is in the short run, you see something that explains everything to you, but it is actually transient, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that what you're searching for is what's actually permanent. So in other words, in the short run, it's like I work out every day and you say, I don't see any impact. Well, you're right. That's a transient impression. Mm-hmm. And though it's very vivid, it's not the truth. The truth is underneath, over the next several months, you're going to lose weight because you're increasing your activity. Just pure, simple biometrics for the average human being. But we get so fixated on transient impressions, right?
Yep.
My partner may be mad. Okay, so what? Right? Why are we fixating on things that are transient? Because to us it's so vivid, it's so real, it's so now. But the point is, you got years with them of happiness and compatibility and love and kindness and stuff like that. And yet you get caught up in the transient impression.
Yeah, we're so surface level with our lives where we react to what we see right away, not what is actually happening underneath or what has happened in the past or what is actually, what are you actually working on?
Yeah. So this piece, the entire point of the book was I was trying to get beyond the surfaceness of that. That's why there's a picture of a woman with a mask, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're always giving people, we're projecting to people what we think they want to see.
Right.
We're not being ourselves. It's one version of us. They used to say, for every friend, there's a version of you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But when you're really authentic, all the friends kind of see you the same way.
Yeah, it's funny because you think about that, like you kind of got to think about the people who are around you and have always been around you. And as you're saying that, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm kind of an asshole sometimes. And the people who stick with me are the people who like me for who I am. And I don't have to be someone for someone else. Like, my wife loves me for who I am. Sometimes she gets mad at me. Sometimes she doesn't like the things I do. My best friend that lives, a mile that way still calls me once a week and talks to me about, even though I'm an opinionated person and I have these ways of thinking. And, it is what it is. It's like, you have to find your tribe. You have to find your people. And then you have to be yourself, because if you don't, you will never be happy being someone else's person.
Absolutely. And so the entire point was many, many, many moons ago, I went to work for the United States Army as a strategic intelligence person. And so what was unique about the experience is you had to try to come in as neutral to a situation as you could, because you couldn't come in with bias because you couldn't see things properly. Right?
Sorry, my brain's going to, what's the media?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's all completely staged. So,
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
After a while, you saw in the book where I call it fiction or friction.
Yeah.
That's all they're selling one of the two. They're either selling, the fight, or they're selling the pure unadulterated hyperbole. So what you're trying to do is be able to look at a situation and be as neutral as you can. And so the point this was in August of 21. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sitting there looking around and I'm watching what Vladimir Putin is doing, just kind of casually out of the side of my eye. And I'm going, this guy's preparing for war. I mean, he's preparing for serious conflict. And I said, listen, I'm not on the Russian desk anymore, and I never was on the Russian desk, but I don't give input to the Russian desk. But if I was on the Russian desk, I'd be really concerned. Mm-hmm. This guy spent a decade preparing for war. It just didn't happen. He saw us coming, so to speak. In other words, when we started NATO expansion in 99, mm-hmm. So he goes to war in 22. That means he's had 23 years to kind of see us coming. And so he prepared for it. I'm not questioning the right of things. We always have to be careful that we don't get into the right or wrong of everything and get into that judgmental, normative type of thing and get stuck in that world. No, just what is happening. Literally, what is going on? And this is what's going on. This is the way he perceives the world. This is what he's doing. Matter of fact, I'm about ready to get published on what's called strategic empathy, which is being able to put yourself in the shoes of your opponent legitimately and say, how does he see the world? And what should I expect accordingly? And then people will get into this right or wrong thing. Well, he's just wrong. I'm like, what? I don't care about right and wrong. And they're like, what do you mean you don't care? If I'm in a fight with somebody, I don't care about right and wrong. I care about where the next punch is coming from.
Right.
I'm not having a normative argument about whether this is a good fight or a bad fight. I'm worried about the fist coming to my face. And that's kind of where you are as an intelligence person. You're just like, tell me what's going on in the battlefield. That's all I care about.
Yeah, to make sure that you make the correct decision of how to react to that situation.
Right. We can deal with the other issues of right and wrong later. Mm-hmm. But what is happening? And you're saying, well, this guy is coming. He's serious and he's coming. And these are the things that I see that lead me to believe that. And consequently, I warned again in, I think, November. And everybody's like, oh, no, he won't seriously do this. I said, no, he's coming.
Yeah.
He's absolutely coming. And so, but that's what we're talking about in some of this peeling back from ourselves, right? Because the person we lie to the most is ourselves.
Right. We
Okay.
are.
And
We are our biggest bully.
we are our biggest bully. We excuse me, we bullshit ourselves
Yep.
more than we need to, and all of this is really, if we look at the outside world as kind of a mirror to us, right? You are really a mirror of me to me,
Mm-hmm.
and when I look at something, if there's something that I don't like about you, it's really something I don't like about myself.
Right.
And so I need to be able to see that and clearly look at it. And that's what this is for your life. What makes life better? Seeing things for what they are. Not good, not bad. Just this is what's happening, and what does it take to change? Because people get into this like running streaks, right? Like people break running streaks all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, me doing my running streak this morning and my hip hurt this morning, the whole 9 yards. But here's the point. I still went out there and I still did it. Why? Because I don't want to break the streak. For me, this has nothing to do with anybody else.
Right.
Despite the fact that I'm counting on TikTok, I don't care. I didn't start doing this because of TikTok. I'm just letting TikTok see. In this case, I think I have over 1,000 days or 1,000 videos.
What's that?
Just
What's
letting
a
TikTok.
for people listening? I mean, it's like, okay, so what's the streak at? How many days? How many years?
9.5,
Okay.
3,379 days.
So
something like that.
TikTok's not the motivator because TikTok hasn't been around that long.
No, I've only got 1,000 runs on TikTok. No, I'm not trying to do this for anybody else. It's my son who said, Dad, this is really pretty cool. You ought to tell people why you do it. And really what it was, as you know, the story is I wanted to do something I don't like every morning. And that way it makes it easier for me to do the things I do like during the day and just gotta kind of get to the motivation. But going back to the center and worldview is being able to see the world for what it is and not with all my colors on it. What my religious preference doesn't matter. Okay. But I better understand how somebody in the faith of Islam sees it.
Yep.
Right? Not because they're right, not because they're wrong, but because they need to be able to see it from their vantage point. Again, to be able to react to what they're going to do. That's all I'm trying to say. And for us, the people we're really trying to uncover ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? We're just trying to uncover, why do we really do things? Come on, let's be honest with each other. Because we are in the self-sabotage business. Okay. We always whine and complain about all the things that are done to us. But the reality is we're doing most of it to ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. We're making these bad choices. This is not, somebody does not have a gun to our head. Okay. Yeah. We are unfortunately doing that. So that's all we're trying to do in readapting a worldview is simply flipping everything around like you do so often. Flip things around. Glass is half full. This happens for me, not to me.
Right.
Okay. Every person, you just got your heart broken, for example. What did you learn? Or are you going to obsess about having a broken heart? Or are you going to obsess about what did you learn? What did you learn about yourself?
And I think, like I'm pulling up right now because I think about the 4 agreements too, as well as like we sit here. If you've read that, I'm sure you've read that book before.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of those deals. It's like those 4 agreements that you make with yourself. It's like, how do you decide that you're going to deal with the situation at hand? Like, are you going to be, good with your word? Are you going to do the best you can? Are you going to not make the insinuation that just because you said something about, hey, you got gray in your beard that you think I'm old or whatever, like you could turn that into something that it's not real easily instead of just like allowing it to not affect you. And I think that's what we all do. We let words affect us in a way, or we let what we think other people think of us affect us in a way that they may never even notice. And I'm I'm the first to tell you, yesterday we were talking about it, like I am the vainest person in the world. Like I care what I look like. I care that this is clean every single day. I care that my hair looks good. I care that my clothes match. I care that I look clean and neat and put together. And some people don't even notice that. And some people do. But I'm the one who's like, someone's going to see that. Oh, I got food on my shirt. Oh, I spilled this. Oh, I did, like they're just, it's so weird how we can just let all those things just tear us down.
Well, and my friend asked me if do I have degrees of OCD, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look in my closet, it's a lot of dark colors. And the reason I do that is I don't like to see a stain on my shirt. Okay. So
I hate white.
It's just, I hate white. So everything's black, blue, all the dark colors.
Yeah.
And she said, well, do you think it's a little OCD? And I said, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't, but it's not debilitating. Instead of me being obsessed about my white shirt having a stain on it, I don't have any white shirts.
Yeah.
I get rid of the problem by understanding myself and being okay with that. It's like, yeah, I don't like that. Well, why don't you like it? Are you afraid what somebody's going to see? I said, no, I don't like it.
I'm afraid I'm a messy person.
Exactly. I want to look, put together. I want to look like I'm organized. I don't want to look like a disheveled mess.
Yeah.
I just don't.
It's funny because I think about like even as much as like this is going to sound really weird, but like maybe it won't. I wear a tie only when I do a job interview. That's it. Like I didn't wear one for this job that I got because it wasn't the thing. But like when I interviewed for my teaching position, I wore a tie. I hate ties. I hate collared shirts. I honestly, anytime I have something that's really impressive or something that I have to do, I have to go buy a new tie. I have to go buy a new shirt. Luckily, I have pants that I could wear every single time. But like it's one of those deals where I wear them so little when I go and pull the other one out, it might have not mothballs, but you know what I mean? Like it's so old. It's like, is that out of style? But tying that knot, like there's like a double Windsor and there's the Windsor and whatever. And I always have to have this spectacular knot. Like there's this one that looks like a flower almost. And it took me forever to do it. But I'm the only one who noticed that damn thing. No one else noticed it. But I thought it was cool and I wanted to impress someone. And if they asked me about it, I could say, hey, yeah, I spent time making that knot. It's like, those are the things that you do to impress yourself.
Yeah. Oh, and Lord, I don't have a tie either. I decided that there was a certain age that it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And somebody would say, you showed up to a graduation, you showed up to everything, you've met the president in an open collar. Yes, I have. I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a costume.
Exactly.
Are you here to meet me or do you want me in costume?
You're putting your mask on.
That's it. And so I'm just trying to get to that point. And so, yeah. And the thing is I've had to slowly shed the stuff, right? Slowly shed. It takes time though, right? It just does.
Nikki doesn't wear pantyhose
I saw
anymore.
Nikki. I know. I saw that. But yeah, you slowly shed these things that you put on because somebody told you to.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of just saying, listen, I understand that. I understand that it's important that I be respectful of your situation. And I understand that. But, me putting on a tie or not doesn't show respect.
Right.
It's just a tie. I said, I hope my demeanor shows you respect. I hope my words show you respect. I hope my posture shows you respect. My tie needs to show you respect. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's like you think about a lot of the things that are going on in the world right now too. Like, I mean, I was talking to someone yesterday. I had a customer that I apparently knew but didn't know I knew because I kind of grew up in the same town and he hung out with my brother and all this stuff. And I show up at his house and measure his windows or whatever, and we start talking about stuff. And he's telling me about all these things that happen, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, well, I was not privy to that information." But then you start thinking about how you judge people and how you think about people. And I had all these thoughts about these people that he was talking about. And I'm like, that just wasn't me. I just didn't do that. I marched to my own beat. And then you get people who tell you, like just like you said, it's like this view of what it is, because I am a salesperson, because I am in your house, because I deal with people who are mostly this age or whatever. If I walk in there and I have this half sleeve of tattoos and they see that poking out of my arm, are they not going to buy from me? Like, is that something that they see from you? And my dad will say, those are the worst things you can ever do. I can't believe you did that. That makes you this, that makes you that. Like, in everything that comes out, it's like we judge people just by the way they look. And it's like, that doesn't mean just because I have tattoos that I'm not the person that you know me as. I've changed. I'm not a different person. And I feel like we do that. We just judge people. And
Well, you only have 7 seconds, right?
Yep.
To really actually make your first impression.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the best thing you can do for people is smile.
Yep.
Start there. And the reality of the rest of it is and I always say to people, if you care enough about me, whatever offends you, whether that it's I'm tall, I'm white, whatever offends you about me, okay? If you don't care to get beyond that to know me, then I'm okay with that. Because truthfully, I've not done anything to hurt you. I've not, it's just who I am on the surface bothers you. Now, I don't do anything overt to make you upset or angry or something, but it's always the idea of making a good impression. A good impression is a smile. But we all send off a vibe, right? Whether we like it or whether we don't. The vibe is either, hey, listen, I'm friendly, or the vibe is I'm not friendly. The vibe is I'm sensual. The vibe, whatever. We're all sending off that. We just have to realize that. And our worldview of how we see the big picture is either we see everybody apart from us or we see everybody connected.
Yeah.
Right? This is back to the whole thing. Is there a creator? Is everything connected? Does everything work for us or does it work against us? Is a glass half full or half empty?
Right.
Why? Because all this is going to matter, right? One of the things I found inherently interesting about people is, even when they were my adversary, was people all have basically the same desires, right? They really do. They're not grand. Everybody usually likes a warm cup of something, tea, coffee, whatever, right? They want their kids to grow up in relative peace and security. They want their kids to do a little better than they did. They want to be in a partnership or marriage with somebody that loves them. This is really simple stuff. They want a job that gives them dignity and respect, right?
Yep.
Where they can feel good about themselves. These are all baseline things that people begin to want. But this is kind of back to the worldview of either you see people connected, we're all in this together, so to speak,
right,
or we're not. And if we're all being competitive and I'm just going to get mine, well, like, for example, worldview, sowing and reaping.
Right.
When I sow, do I reap? If I sow bad, do I reap good? I don't think so. I think I have to sow good to reap good.
Yeah.
Again, how do you see the world?
It's funny. I was listening to Michael Rosenbaum talk to Kevin Smith, the director Kevin Smith, the actor Kevin Smith, and he was talking about how he used to go to these movies and watch them, and then people would ask him opinion on them, and he would give his opinion whether he liked it or not. And he just stopped giving opinions on stuff he didn't like, because he said, "Why do I need to give them something negative when that's easy to find? If they want to find someone who wants to tear something apart, it's easy to find. They can just do it. But if they want to find something good, they have to go out and find it and search for it. And it just doesn't make him feel good to do that, So that's what you get. You reap what you sow. You give it, you get it. If you have a shitty attitude, you're gonna get shitty attitudes back. You're gonna be around those people, and it doesn't mean that you have to agree with them, right? Like we are like-minded. Like one of my very good friends, Jay, we think a lot of the same things, but we also have disagreements and we don't agree on everything. And we can come back to the middle and still have a civil conversation and still be friends about it. And we get lost that everyone else thinks you have to be exactly like me.
Yeah. And one of the things in politics, which is sad, is I have a friend who believes they're left leaning. And I said, you're not, you're actually in the center. And it's because you don't know what the center actually looks like.
Right.
Because all everybody ever shows you is the extremes.
Yep.
So that's what you think it is. So which extreme am I closest to? No,
Right.
you're not. You're actually in the middle.
Yep.
And the reality is that the super majority of the people are in the middle. Why? Because the super majority of the people want a good education system.
Yeah.
Shocker, right? People want fresh water. I mean, can you imagine being in a town, Flint, Michigan, where your water's contaminated?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. Really?
Yeah.
We want clean air, clean water. I can go through the list of simple things that everybody wants, and this is pretty much the middle. Now, we can disagree, as you say, about the policy initiatives to get there, but our basic needs are the same.
Yeah.
And so we can either come together and say, hey, how can we solve this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's put our heads together. And you give two ideas and I give one idea that are work. So we take those three ideas, put them together, and that becomes the policy. It's not 100% of what I want. It's not 100% of what you want. But guess what? It works.
Yep.
Right? And everybody gets to realize that it's just that simple. And that's back to the giant worldview of how is the world postured, right? Is the world really postured with opposites? Or is the world really postured with most of the people in the middle? And the only reason we know the extremes are because they're the loudest.
Yep. Exactly.
Right? That's all they are, is the loudest.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And that's it's the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? There you go. Those are the people.
Exactly.
Those are the people that are sitting there yelling and screaming about it the most. And so people hear that and they glom onto that because just like Kevin Smith said, it's easy to find the negative stuff. It's hard to find the positive stuff, even though it's more abundant. It's the low hanging fruit that they're going after.
Yep.
So great conversation, Robert. I appreciate you hopping on. Still working out the details of the next steps on a lot of things, and we'll talk a little bit about that after. We'll waste the good conversation on us now.
Yes.
But thank you, everyone, for hanging out. We are getting through the book. We're in number 20. How many are there? Is there 40? I know that we're halfway through the book, so that's why I'm going at the 40.
I don't remember. I know
30.
I think it's 36.
36. Yep, there we go. So we're getting through there. I know we're a little over, or we're close to halfway through there, but great book, great conversation. We appreciate you guys all hanging out. And Nikki, thanks for being in the chat room. We have someone else in there too, but I can't see who it is because they're not commenting. They're probably just listening. But remember to get in the conversation. Follow us on YouTube. We're going to start doing something a little different, but we'll get those details ironed out and keep moving forward.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, Wes.
Yep. Thanks, Robert. Until next time, I challenge y'all to find the shape of your success.